Welcome to the Mindset and Miracles Keys to Healing and Unlocking Your Divine Potential global event. This exciting global event is designed to empower attendees to expand their consciousness and embrace divine love for healing and breaking free of limiting beliefs. I am Ramah Leith, the host and creator of this beautiful event, and today I'm excited to present Sarah Ellingworth. Sarah Ellingworth is a master energy practitioner of the healing arts with over 18 years of experience. Sarah is a highly skilled and intuitive healer who specializes in helping people achieve self-empowerment and alignment through the recognition and activation of their sovereign divinity. Sarah specializes in shadow work, identifying and addressing blind spots within one's consciousness, facilitating personal growth, healing, and transformation across multiple levels of being in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Sarah's expertise includes working with dark force interferences, entities, and discarnate removal, making her a seasoned practitioner in dealing with complex energetic issues. As an empath, what sets Sarah apart is her compassionate and heart-based approach and her commitment to coaching and mentoring clients through their healing journey. She guides clients in expanding their awareness of self-sabotaging patterns and addictions, helping them to transition from old paradigms into higher levels of consciousness and self-love, enabling them to create a life filled with joy, peace, and harmony. And today, Sarah's topic is awakening the intuitive self to explore the journey in spiritual maturity, personal healing, and the development of intuitive and psychic abilities to enhance our everyday life into a state of thriving. Welcome, Sarah. It's so great to have you here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's very exciting.
So you do some amazing work, and how do you see people's interest in developing their intuitive and psychic abilities with the ones that you're working with now? How do you see that personal healing ties into those development of those?
Yes. Well, I think, psychic and intuitive development is very much at the forefront of spirituality when it comes to people wanting to really develop themselves. I think it's like the carrot and the stick. Everyone wants to be more psychic or more intuitive. Even if they don't fully understand what that actually means, or the fact that it's already there. I want to highlight it's already there. So that's the healing piece that then comes into play, because I think there's a lot, and I've really been looking around to see what's out there as far as resources and things for people to support themselves with on that spiritual and psychic journey or intuitive journey to open that aspect of themselves up, because I think it really is. It's very much a part that encourages or excites people about this magical world that we actually do live in. Like it really does, it exists. So there's people wanting to get more into that. And I feel like there's an emphasis on, use these tools or do this, activate this, and you'll become more psychic. But I feel like it's actually an inside job. It's really the removal of the fears, the limitations, the blocks. It's the healing piece that actually needs to happen, that removes the obstacles, because your psychic and intuitive abilities are already there. Like you're already a divine being. Everything you need is already inside of you. That's not a line. That's not, do you know what I mean? It's not a cliche. It's actually a level of truth that we want to lean into more of and embody more of. And when we do that, that connection is made, and those innate abilities become more activated and come online in a deeper way. So then we can start to utilize it on a daily basis. That's how we should be using our intuition. It's not a game, it's not a toy, it's not a gimmick. It is actually a way that we function on this planet as a divine human being. So we can use our intuitive abilities in business. We can use them in our relationships. We can use them I've used them when I've been looking for a house, buying a house, renting a house. It's like I use my intuitive ability. Is this the right house for me? How do I feel? What is this house showing me? Talk to the house. That might sound a bit woo-woo, which we'll also talk about a little bit later, but these are the ways you can use your skills, your innate skills, to enhance your life, to allow your connection to divinity, your higher wisdom, your divine self, your soul aspect to come in and guide your life to create what it is that you want to create. So that's the healing piece, I think, is for me, it actually carved out my path into my intuitive development. That's actually how I got here. Because my focus was actually my healing part. Like, it was healing. I was living a life that I wasn't aligned to, that I wasn't congruent with. I was deeply unhappy. I was just totally out of alignment. And I went, there's got to be more to life than this. Like, I was so incredibly unhappy and I didn't know how to actually make myself happy. I didn't know what direction to go. I took the conventional method and I went and saw a psychologist. And because I actually was, the lights were on, but no one was home. I really got to that point where I just was so deeply, incredibly unhappy. And I wasn't suicidal, but I just was so lost. And so I did that for a couple of sessions, and that gave me enough strength and direction to make some moves. But it was actually receiving Reiki that was what went, you just turned the dial right up. All of a sudden, I was experimenting. I didn't know, I had no expectations around what Reiki was or what it was going to do for me. I just was trying anything, to be honest. And it was, I think, the second or third thing that I tried. And I instantly started having all of these experiences and I was seeing things. My eyes were closed, but I was seeing things. And again, I had no expectation that that was going to happen. And I just went, whoa, what was that? It was like going on a roller coaster. It was so fun. And it was really the divine just showing me that there was another aspect to life that was so real and so there and waiting for me. So that's also the pathway that I took to get into meditation, which previously I'd always struggled with. So yeah, that just propelled me into my healing journey, my personal healing journey, removing all the things, all the beliefs, all the feelings that I just no longer resonated with or kept me in a lower vibration. And that was the path that opened up all of my psychic abilities. And again, that was never a priority. I didn't even know that I had it, even though I had experiences as a child. That was just, I had fear. I was petrified. So I'd shut it all down. So I didn't go in going, okay, I want to open up. I want to be able to see more. I want to be able to feel more. I was just like, just get this crap off me. That was actually my own intention. Just get all of this shit off me. And through that experience, everything started to open up. So that's really my approach. That my approach is to help people help themselves in releasing everything that is not their authentic self, everything, all the beliefs, all the things that we've aligned to, that we've been taught or programmed into, getting rid of all of that, figuring out who you are, finding your passion, finding your connection to divinity, and that will take care of everything else. Then comes all of the tools and the activities and things that you can use to stretch those muscles, strengthen the muscles of your intuitive and psychic abilities. That's the fun part.
Absolutely. And I had a similar, experience as we were talking about before
Yeah.
we started recording. And I think it is so important to go through and do your healing. I mean, to do all of the healing for your shadow work as well as, um physical healing, because I know that for myself was the problem for me at first. But all of
Mm.
it was connected because, that's all emotional that's stuck in your body that's causing those pains. So all
Yes.
of that needed to take place to get to the point where I was able to open up to, all of my abilities. But that didn't happen overnight, like that. It really did take the work of
Correct.
healing the body, healing the mind, healing the spirit,
Yep.
forgiveness, down the heart walls, all those different kinds of things that were needed.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and I think that that is so instrumental in making the progress and moving forward and being able to
Yep.
open up, because I think it starts happening so instinctively, and it just you don't even really have to work for it in that point when you've let down all those walls, and then you start having those experiences and seeing those signs and synchronicities that really allow you to know that you're going in the right direction, that things are
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
natural flow state versus the resistance, which we often fall into when when we're not in alignment. So I
Yes.
totally, yeah. And that leads me to another question, which is more of why do you think so in thinking about society, how we've really kind of shut people down from using their intuition, from
Mm,
believing and trusting in the what feels aligned for them,
mm, mm.
because we are told that we need to give our power away. How do you see that fitting in with how people are experiencing their gifts and all different facets, but also just their psychic and intuitive abilities?
Yeah. Well, I think again, this is where the healing piece is so important because we're unlearning what we've been taught. We do not live in a world, this world of duality does not harness, it does not foster our intuitive nature. It just doesn't. You are taught to believe what you see, you are taught to believe what is fact based on science. If it's not real tangible material, if you can't see it, then it doesn't exist. It's that type of world. We're not taught to trust our intuition, and you can follow that even through. I'm actually really happy to say that I've seen a big shift in the way we parent children, and that is a very natural and organic way through the generations wanting to organically do better than the last generation. But previously, no matter how many generations you go back, it's like do as you're told. Just do as you're told. Don't question me. Do as you're told. It's the same with the education system now. It's like just do as you're told. Fit into this square peg. Answer these questions like this. Like there's no questioning, there's no challenging of belief systems, there's no challenging of systems or the way we do things. It's just fit in and do as you're told, comply to the way we do things. And that creates an inner conflict because there is an aspect of your soul that's pushing to come through. And that's the part of you that's like, something's not right. Something's not right. But you were drummed in. We are drummed in as a society. Just do as you're told. Don't question, just do it. So but what I want to highlight is that that's actually part of the game. I do want to highlight that's part of duality. That's how duality serves us, is that your soul has chosen to come here, to come up against something in order to pierce through and expand and grow and learn. That's part of the playground. So even though I'm highlighting this, I don't want to emphasize that's technically a negative aspect. In my teachings, I really come away from or help to understand there is no right or wrong. It just is. So what are you going to do with that? Like that is part of the playground. So part of human evolution is actually to come in and transform through the darkness. The darkness is part of the playground. So instead of judging it or criticizing it or, boo-booing it, it's actually, what are we learning from this? What am I learning about myself through this? So again, it's accepting, it's coming to a level of acceptance. Well, that's what happened even as a child, because a lot of people can get really triggered around, well, I was just a child. I didn't choose that for myself, whether there was abuse or neglect or whatever happened that created some level of trauma that they're now dealing with. Yes, that's your responsibility to deal with now. No, you didn't do that. Like you didn't consciously choose that, but you did on a soul level because that created the playground for you to then learn through in this lifetime. So there's nothing wrong in what happened. It's how much are you paying attention to the lesson? So this is the same with the society programming. It's like, well, this is part of the planet that we live on. It's part of duality. It's part of this playground on planet Earth. We're on the planet of, this is the school of hard knocks. That is what Earth is. So are you going to lean into the lessons, or are you going to, again, there's nothing, I want to say there's nothing, this is going to sound a bit weird. There's nothing wrong with just going along with the programming, because your soul will wake up when it's ready. You can't force that. You can't force that change. Even on the healing journey, it's not a race, and you can't force yourself to show up any more than what you're capable of in that given moment. So this is part of the acceptance and the healing piece that comes in accepting who you are. If you have regret, or if you have shame or guilt over how you have previously shown up in the past, holding on to those feelings can block you from your truth, or embodying your wholeness now, if we don't let that go. Now, who you were when that happened, there was nothing wrong in that. That was who you were. That was what you were capable of doing or being, or, that's how you showed up in that given moment. That's okay too. Do you know what I mean? So when we lean into that shadow aspect of how we were, or what we believed, or whatever's happened to us in the past, when we can let that go, we actually step more into our wholeness of who we are now. That's the point. That's actually how duality serves us. So I just wanted to highlight that whilst we are not taught to, as a whole, as a society, we're not really taught to trust our intuition, to even coming back to the parenting style, it was very much, do as you're told, instead of teaching children how to trust themselves, how to utilize their power with a sense of responsibility, because parents, and there is an element of, I've got to keep my child safe, so I'm going to create the parameters for the area that they can learn in, but we still give them space to play in that. We still give them enough space to make wrong decisions, and then teach them how to work through those hard lessons in a manner that still keeps them safe. So that, like, and I can see it. I can see it's a gray area still. Like, I think some areas go too far, as in, like, it's the freedom that we can sometimes give children when they don't know how to navigate that landscape can be just as detrimental as when we don't give them enough space. But in the learning, we can really fly between polar ends of that lesson before we find the middle ground. So what I'm really happy to see is that there's actually freedom and there's movement happening in how we guide the young to come into their relationship with their own power and their intuition. That is actually starting to shift, generationally. But for those of us who have gotten to a point where, we didn't get that trust, the power within ourselves, it can actually really distort your true north. Like, you don't know how to trust yourself. You don't know how to trust your intuition. We have a lot of fear. We have a lot of noise. We have a lot of stress from our daily lives. So all of that muddies our intuition, and we can't hear it. We can't feel it. We can't see it. Even when we do get something, we're like, what was that? Is that me? Is that interference? Is that my ego? Is that my guide? There's a lot of confusion around what that is, or who that is, and what we're listening to. So then we can quite often just revert to, you know what, I can see this. This is tried and tested. I'm just going to do that. That feels safe. So that's how we can fall into that sort of lane of compliance instead of breaking free into exploration and the messiness of the learning when we use our intuition. And that doesn't mean to say that you're going to get it wrong either. If you're really on your intuition, you'll get it right. You'll create miracles. You'll, catapult yourself through the learning because you listen to your intuition. But my point is, there has to be a space, there has to be permission for the messiness in that learning. And again, that's another concept we're not taught. We're not given permission to be messy in our learning, which I think is really important for intuition.
Absolutely. And I think it's also, I like the messy and the learning. I like, I'm going to use that now.
Yeah.
Because I think that is so important that we have those experiences and that we can learn from them, because without that, we're just we're just existing and we're not, flowing, we're not thriving, we're not developing. And I think of it as we're here on this playground to try different things, to have different experiences and
Yeah.
different emotions, and with all of that, how we can just see the growth that can come from all of that, and to be allowed to feel those feelings. And you can have
Yeah.
anger. That doesn't mean you're not a spiritual person. You can still have all
Exactly.
the emotions. It's still going to happen.
No,
And that's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay. It's
exactly.
just,
Well, the shadow serves us, like the hard emotions, the hard feelings, that's all part of the whole, and it actually serves us, but it's learning how to use it effectively for our benefit and our learning so that we can then just let it go and evolve into the next, vibration, or do you know what I mean? Like we can keep raising our frequency because we're not holding on to the old. We're not shaming ourselves for what we're thinking or feeling. Um, so that is another big piece of the healing that happens in our own personal relationship to ourselves and our psychic abilities. Because whenever we live in a world of criticism and judgment, like it's there. It's just part of the landscape again. So knowing or learning how to show up through that playground of judgment and criticism where you can rise above it and go, well, I'm not going to judge myself for that. I'm going to let myself feel it. I'm going to learn and understand why I'm feeling it, because that'll unravel the thread. And that is, again, like I said, that's the pathway to intuitive development. Like connecting into yourself, the inner world opens up even more when you take that path. It's not an outside tool that you use to bring in and strengthen, because you're only trying to put that on top of the inner landscape. It's still got the blocks in there. So yeah.
and I think what's so interesting, is that there are so many different emotions. And I see that with the young people now and the way they're being taught in schools and with their families. And, more families are looking at this, like to teach them emotions, to let them like express those emotions. Like, what emotion are you having right now? How is that feeling? Let them work through it, let them express it. Because that's how you release it. That's how you move on. And I think there, for, I know for my generation more, that wasn't a thing that we did. We didn't know our emotions. We just had them. We didn't like them. We were told to stuff them down, and then we did. And then that ended up with physical ailments, which then we
Yeah.
experience now. And I just love that that is happening more, that younger people and people are coming in, incarnating now at this time so much more open,
Mm.
and they know that and they feel that and they can tell when things are off, and and they're expressing it in that way. But I just love that we're, many people are teaching their children how to express themselves and letting them do it and helping them through it, and all of that, because that's going to definitely serve them. And that's what, as adults now, we had to learn to do that, because that's
Yes.
really that part of the healing, is working through those emotions, recognizing them, and releasing them, and seeing that there was a benefit to that experience, and how we, moved past that, and what
Mm.
how we came out on the other end. So
Yeah. And there's a real payoff for that. Like, I think as humans, the expansion of our awareness, our expansion of our creativity, the freedom within ourselves that then starts to just grow beyond what we've ever seen before, like that is going to start to come through now with the younger generations. So, I've felt for a long time, and I know it's been talked about, the rate of development of humanity within a short period of time, like it's happening now. And it's amazing to see, but that rate of change, or just change as a concept, can really trigger a lot of fear for people because it's the unknown. But again, when we're sort of when we're leading the way with our intuition, we can learn how to trust that, and the messiness and the creation and the play allows us to unfold in new ways that is fascinating, and it creates more space for learning and growing, whether it's light or shadow.
yeah, I completely agree. Um,
Mm.
so if someone is looking to work on their shadow, And they are wanting to facilitate that in more of a smooth way, because that can be difficult, especially when you're just starting and you're like, there is a lot that I want to work on. Um,
Mm.
do you have any recommendations, or do you have an
Yeah.
activity you'd like to do?
Yes, I do actually have an
Yes.
activity that we can
Yeah.
do, which I love. But I
Awesome.
do want to say, I think this is because a lot of people, and it's like I've seen this for years. If you gave someone the choice of getting a psychic reading done versus getting a healing done, most people are going to go for the psychic healing because they just want to be told that everything is going to be okay, and they want the reassurance. Whereas when you take that, when you do the shadow work, when you take the healing path, when you learn the modality or you get the healing done, you are leaning into empowering yourself, releasing the blocks, moving through the pain that is keeping you stuck, so that you are actually taking responsibility for yourself, your healing, your experience. You're ensuring through your action that everything is going to be okay. That's how you create the change. So this is the importance of shadow work, but it can be very unnerving. It can trigger a lot of fear, and one of the fear pieces is the overwhelm. People don't want to feel what they're feeling. People don't want to feel the hard feelings. And this is why we have such a big frequency of addiction on the planet. Addiction is nursing the pain. It's actually numbing the pain. It's creating a distance between you and feeling the shadow aspect because it's just too much. So shadow work is a very conscious and direct way of stepping into the uncomfortableness of our hard thoughts and feelings. And um, it's not always pretty. Again, it's giving yourself permission to get messy in what you're feeling. It's giving yourself permission to get uncomfortable. But the payoff of that is that there is this huge expansion and freedom within yourself, the connection to yourself, the wholeness, the healing, the light that then starts to open up within you is worth the effort. And you don't get that feeling, you don't get that outcome until you've actually done the work. So that's something that only the people who have signed up to really do the shadow work get to experience. There is a huge payoff. Um, so there are, if there are people listening who haven't really gone there before or are intrigued about, because I think, shadow work and spiritual development are hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. Unless you want to go for the false light, everything will be fine. Just feel the joy, as you said before. I'm like, yeah, no, you can't slap a bit of joy on top of fear and think everything will be okay. You have to feel the fear. You have to understand why the fear's there and what created that in order to release it. And then the light comes, and then we can start to access more joy. So I would always, and for me, it was the same. I just started booking sessions. I was like, who can help me? Who are my people? Where do I go? What do you do? I don't know. I just started to explore, and that was part of my messy playing. So if you're not sure on how to do it, or you're feeling lost, you don't just book a session, anything. It doesn't, the other thing that I've really for myself experienced, but also witnessed, everything you do contributes. Like, the consistency is really important. So no session is ever a waste. Everything you do, whether it is for yourself, with yourself, or in a session with a healer, a meditation, whatever it is, it's all contributing. Everything you do of every minute of the day, it's all contributing to your experience, to your healing. So yeah, working with a shadow worker, a healer of any capacity is going to create a container for you to, it's almost like, when I say container, it's like you jump in the healing bath and you splash around and you get messy, but you're contained in that bath. You've got someone watching over you in the bath to be like, oh, yep, come away from that edge, or have a look over here. Look at, there's another part of the bath that you can play in over here. So you've got someone guiding you through the experience whilst you're navigating the depths of the water in the bath, which is the emotional body. Until you get to a point where you're like, I'm going to run myself a bath and I'm going to do my own shadow work. And then you can do it yourself. But that's the whole point. You get the sessions, or you do like you learn the healing modalities to develop your toolkit so that you can run your own bath, jump into the emotional body, splash in the water, and actually do it yourself. That is really the highest thing you can do. That's one of the biggest things of self-love that you can do for yourself, is investing into your own toolkit for you to keep showing up on a daily basis with your healing work. So book a session if that's your thing, if you want the support. There are tools, techniques. You can do podcasts, you can do YouTube clips. Oh, there is so much around, so much free content that will give you guidance on how to do shadow work. So there is an activity. I love this activity. I love this tool actually, because you can use it in lots of different ways. So we're going to use it today to work through a shadow aspect. And as the listener, you can pick anything that you feel is blocking you or creating a level of resistance within you opening up your psychic and intuitive abilities. Now, that really actually, even though we're talking about our psychic and intuitive abilities, that still doesn't limit. It doesn't categorize or specify one thing. You may feel like if you are quick to anger, your anger is disrupting your level of peace. Well, when we want to connect into our intuitive abilities, we want the stillness. We want the peace and the stillness within us. This is why meditation is so important, because it helps anchor in the stillness. So if we've got a lot of anger and our energy is very quick to react, then there is no space in there for our intuition to come in, because the anger blocks it. And we can become addicted to emotions because that is just habitually how we show up. It's our reaction. It's our knee-jerk reaction to when we get triggered. So you might take a moment to know, you know what, actually, I've got a lot of irritation running through my system right now with the planetary landscape. I think a lot of us do. So you might find that irritation is one thing. You might find that anger is really prevalent in your daily life right now. You're really quick to anger. You might find that it's grief or sadness or depression. You might find that anxiety is really blocking you from how you function or how you want to show up in life, or whatever the thing is. Fear is another big one. I'm just throwing out lots of different things for people to reflect on. What's your thing that you feel is really blocking you from trusting yourself, from accessing your intuition? Fear is everywhere. We're constantly, and this is the thing, it's like even with shadow work, we're energetic beings. Energy changes constantly. We're constantly exposed to new environments. So just because you think you've dealt with anger from 20 years ago, it doesn't mean you're not going to get angry tomorrow. But how you work with it, how you lean into it, what you do with it, that's actually the key point. So fear is the same thing. We may have, and I know for myself, I've done a lot of clearing on fear. I've released a lot of fear. My fear radar is actually quite low, but it's still there. Like I still get it, or something might happen and all of a sudden it gets triggered and it just skyrockets. And then I've got to work on that to shift it and go, I'm good. It's okay. It's okay that the fear was there. We've shifted that to the side. I understand why I got triggered. Now I'm actually going to go into what it is that triggered me so that I can work on the core issue instead of getting stuck or paralyzed in the fear. So fear is a big one. Whatever I think I've talked for long enough to give people time and space to think about what their thing is. So what I'll get you to do is just take a moment to bring your awareness to your breath. So just get really comfortable wherever you're sitting or laying, and taking a moment to inhale in through your nose and really feel your belly rise as you inhale, a big, deep belly breath. And then breathing out through your mouth, exhaling out through the mouth, feel the belly fall. Allowing your body to become nice and heavy as you exhale, letting go of any tension, any tightness, any areas of your body that you're really holding, just feeling it dropping away, becoming heavier and heavier with every breath you take. Now, if you can, at the top and the bottom of each breath, just have a gentle pause. It's not a constrictive or controlling pause. It's like a suspension, like a floating suspension at the top of the breath. and a floating suspension at the bottom. Very good. Now, when you're ready, I want you to bring your awareness, let the thought, the feeling, the emotion, the fear, whatever it is that you feel is blocking you, holding you back. It may be draining your energy. Anything that forms doubt, fear, disconnection from yourself, your intuitive abilities. Anything you feel is blocking you from trusting yourself. Let that come forward. You may feel or sense it in front of you or within you. Just let it really be there. Allow yourself to feel it. It may feel very uncomfortable. You may start to feel very irritable or angry. You may have a strong sense of injustice as you allow that to come forward. Maybe you were hurt, abused, traumatized, whatever is there, just let it come forward. Now, I want you to rate out of 10, how strong is this frequency within you? Is it overwhelming? Is it strong but not all-consuming? You may have done some work on it already, and maybe it's just it's reduced. It's still there, but it's reduced. So just let that be there now. And when you're ready, I want you to repeat after me. I am the soul. I am the soul. Feel your command in that statement. Feel the truth in that statement. I am a being of divinity. I am the soul. Now I want you to have a sense of an electric violet flame coming up through your body, through your feet, through your waist, through your chest, through your head. This beautiful electric violet flame all around you now, outside of your body, encompassing your entire auric field, including your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual bodies, your physical body, feeling every cell of your being permeating with this electric violet flame, breathing it in. You can command again, I am the soul. I command all thought forms, elementals, entities, all thoughts, feelings, beliefs, all contracts, oaths, vows, and agreements, all cords, attachments, and addictions. Keeping this frequency, and just think of whatever it is that you're dealing with, keeping it embedded within all levels of my being, disintegrate into the electric violet flame now, completely. And you may just like to repeat clear, clear, clear. Commanding again, I am the soul. This statement is reclaiming your power over what you are experiencing, feeling. I am the soul. This statement is commanding that you are choosing how you show up in this experience, not your trauma, not your past, not the outdated belief systems, not the thoughts and the feelings. You are the soul. You determine how you experience this lesson. I want you to take a moment now and feel into the intensity of the frequency, feel into the intensity of the issue, the emotion, the belief, whatever you're working on. Is it still the same frequency? Is it still the same intensity? Rating at 1 to 10, 10 being overwhelming, 1 to 0 being reduced to nothing. Now, when you're ready, I want you to visualize a whiteboard in front of you, a large whiteboard. And in your hand is an eraser for this whiteboard, but this eraser is electric violet in light. Now, when you're ready, I want you to project your issue onto the whiteboard. You may want to scream it, let it purge out of you. You may visualize it. Just let it fill the whiteboard, the frequency, the issue, let it spill all over the whiteboard. Now, when you're ready, you're going to take your electric violet eraser and start to wipe the screen down. Now, you can do this physically with your hand. You can just visualize or sense it wiping down the whiteboard with this electric violet razor, wiping it down until it's completely neutral again. Keep going until there is nothing there. Now, when you're ready, I want you to purge onto the whiteboard again, purging all of the intensity, everything that is associated with this issue, all pain or trauma or resistance or fear or anger or frustration. You may visualize it. You may just see a word. You may just want to scream at the whiteboard. Let it fill with the energy of this issue. And then when you're ready, taking a big deep breath, taking your electric violet razor and again, wiping it down, wiping down the whiteboard, erasing all of the energy, disintegrating all of the energy, this electric violet razor, until the board is completely neutral again. When you're ready, projecting onto the screen and your remaining frequencies, there may be something else that's coming in off the back of that shift. Just letting that be there as well. It's part of the roots of the issue. There may be other people associated with the issue. There may be resentment, letting all of that purge onto the board. Again, you may see things, you may see a word, you may see a face, just letting it all be there. And maybe the same thing, but less intense. Now, when you're ready, taking your electric violet eraser again and start wiping down the board. Wiping down the whole board. Keep wiping it down until it's back to its neutral state, a clean white board. One more time, projecting any remaining frequencies onto the whiteboard. You may have thoughts, feelings, sensations, memories, trauma, any grief associated with the issue. Just letting it purge right out of you onto the board. You may feel clumps, you may feel shifts, you may feel heaviness coming out of your physicality, out of your energetic field, letting it land on the whiteboard. When you're ready, just taking that electric violet razor again and wiping it down, letting the electric violet light of your eraser disintegrate, remove, clear that whiteboard back to its neutral state. Keep wiping it down until there is nothing there. Now you're going to take a moment again to feel into that original issue. What is the intensity? What is the intensity within your system, within your emotions? When you think of that thing, can you feel it? Can you reach it? Don't force it if it's not there. Now, when you're ready, I want you to feel into your heart, feeling into the love and the gratitude you have for yourself and your capacity to show up in this way. You to look at your hard feelings, to process them, feeling into the love and the gratitude, feel proud of yourself for your ability to reflect, to release, to give yourself this opportunity of healing. And then I want you to extend that forgiveness and that compassion to the lesson itself, the fact that you had this experience or you had these emotions. Feeling into the compassion and the forgiveness that this even happened. Because this happened, you have grown as an individual, as a soul, having a human experience on this planet. You have grown, you have learned more about yourself through this experience. Feeling back into how brave you are and the courage that it has taken for you to come this far in the healing and the learning and the growing. And if you can, I want you to extend that gratitude, extend the compassion and the forgiveness for all the people that have shown up in this experience, that created the resistance, that created the pain or the trauma, that created the hardship. They agreed to show up for you in this capacity so that you could learn about yourself in this way. And if that is triggering a reaction, as you see them, as you feel them, you can now visualize or extend that electric violet flame within their energy, disintegrating their memory, disintegrating that energy, disintegrating the connection, disintegrating any cords, any contracts, those vows and agreements, just feeling it all melt away within that electric violet flame. And if you can, I want you to come back into gratitude for the way they have served you, for the ways that they have shown up, that created opportunity and learning and growth for you about yourself. Coming back into the love that you have for you, your courage, your bravery, all the ways that you are showing up and learning and growing and healing. Now, when you come back into that original frequency, the issue, the challenge that you were dealing with, just rate it out of 1 to 10 again. What's the intensity? And when you're ready, just feeling into your body, wriggling your fingers and toes, bringing your awareness behind your eyes and coming back to the group. How are you feeling?
Great. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
It's a really effective tool. It's a really simple tool, but very effective.
I'm sure everyone listening also enjoyed that and had a lot of things to wipe off those, the whiteboard. So I think that was beautiful. Thank you for that experience. So, oh my gosh, just let's everyone take a breath and just feel that energy. It's just moving through us because I think that was so beautiful and divinely guided to assist us in releasing all those things that we're still trying to work through and that's yeah, very needed right now. So thank you very much for that. So I have just a couple more questions I want to ask and
Yeah, of course.
some of those, so you have, you do that work and you also do coaching and so forth. What are some of the things that you've seen happen, some miraculous improvements that you've seen with the clients that have worked with you during the shadow work?
Oh, it's phenomenal. Honestly, it's a true honor to do this work, which was beyond any expectation that I ever had. And the shifts, I mean, the amount of people, the amount of clients that I've had that have said, "You've changed my life." Like, I can never repay you, you've changed my life. And I don't really fully comprehend the extent of that because it's their life and it's their feeling and it's their landscape that it's changed. That's where I just come into a state of honor that I could witness that for them, that, the analogy that I used before, that I could, sort of hold the container of the bathtub for them to get in and do their work. That's what fuels me, is witnessing others breaking beyond their limitations and changing. To give example, like there's it's been so many. I get a lot of people with anxiety, and for some people it's debilitating. Like I had, even there's one client many years ago who she just couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't leave her room. Her whole life just crumbled. Like the overwhelm of the intensity literally railroaded her, and she became a shell of a person, couldn't go to work. It was affecting her relationship. And it just sort of came out of nowhere. It was like this just overwhelming, uncontrollable sense of fear and paralysis that she had through her anxiety. It was a very severe case. And so I think it was around 8 months actually. We worked together for about 8 months with consistent coaching, mentoring, and healing, and she got her whole life back. And she was also one where she tried everything. She tried everything, and she'd done all the counseling and the therapy and all the things. And she actually had a reading done. She actually had a psychic reading done, and she was like, "There's a woman here who can help you." Go and book a session. And that's actually how she came to me. And she was very nervous. She was very nervous about letting the fear go. She was very nervous about letting go into the process. But she did. She kept showing up. And she actually, so even it was her first session. And it was similar to me. I had one session and it was enough for me to go, wow, that was something. And she had the same thing. She had one session and she went, wow, what was that? And so that was enough for her to go, okay, I'm doing this. This is going to do something for me. And yeah, she completely got her whole life back. She's back at work, thriving relationships. She was like, "You literally saved my life." I'm like, "Well, again, I helped you help yourself." Even in the sessions, I'm like, it's not me. The divine that comes through to create the shifts and the changes. I'm working with them. It's like I open up the door and it allows the exchange to happen between all parties. That's how I see myself. I don't see myself as the person doing it. I'm not responsible for that. I again create the space for it to happen, and my energy holds that vibration for the exchange to happen. So that's what you're looking for in someone who can hold that space for profound work to shift. So yeah, there's that. Oh gosh, there's another client that I had and I actually refer to this story quite often because she took a long time to come out of her resistances. She had a lot of fear. She had a lot of old programming. And for her, a lot of it was, there was a lot of, I can't remember what nationality she was, but it was European. She had a European background. And so the conditioning is really ingrained. Like it was very palpable in her system. And so there was a lot that she needed to come out of in the fear space and the programming. Even though she knew she wanted to, she was so sick of herself and she was so sick of her limitations and why she kept repeating these patterns. And so she took, I think, about 2 years to really do the work, if that makes sense. But she kept showing up. Like, when I was talking about, you have clients or people that come along and they're like, "Oh, just fix me so I feel better." And then they go off and they don't change anything and they come back. she was a little bit like that, but at the same time, she was like, she knew she needed to change. She wanted to lean into the shadow more, but she had so much fear to lean into it. So, you know, for people who keep showing up, even though they need more time, I will keep showing up for you. Do you know what I mean? If you keep showing up, I will keep showing up. It doesn't matter how, because I have a lot of clients that are like, oh my God, you're so patient with me. And I'm like, that's my job. Like literally, that's the divine. I'm not going to be like, oh God, she's not getting it. Let's get on to someone else. It doesn't work like that. It's for as long as people keep investing in themselves, for as long as people keep showing up for themselves, I will. It's not my timeline that we're working to. It's yours. And if you need 2 years to pierce through a limitation, then I will keep holding space for you for however long that takes. It's not a rush. It's whatever you need to feel safe to lean into that space. And the fear is deep. The fear is deep through all of humanity, but on an individual level as well. And it's one thing at a time. So she got there in the end, and she changed, you know, dynamics within her relationships and how she showed up for herself, changes in the jobs as well, and the friendships and the family relationships. Like she changed her whole life. And moved in a whole other direction. And again, she was another one that was just like, you've changed my life. And I just went, well, no, you've done the work. And she was another one, she was like, oh my God, you've been so patient. Like, I'll always be here. Do you know, for as long as I'm on this planet, I'm going to be doing this work. So if you need 10 years, then that's how long it takes. And that might be one session a year even, or do you know what I mean? Like there's no expectation in what this looks like or how it unfolds. Oh, I'm trying to think of, there's just so many, like they're two really big ones who had huge shifts within their lives. But one of the other things that's coming forward is the inner child work. I love inner child work, and that is another where you can have one session and the pivotal change that can come out of that is huge. It's like this internal dial that just shifts and it goes clunk, and then all of a sudden instantly you are showing up differently in life. And I've had 2 or 3 clients just recently who have just like, I have fundamentally changed after that session. Thank you so much. Like this has literally, I'm doing this differently. I'm doing this differently. And it was just instant. And that's one of the things I love about inner child work is that, yeah, it helps you drop into yourself in a more deeper, authentic way. So the trying to change almost, it's just effortless and it's instant. And that doesn't happen for everybody all the time. But when you are really ready, again, you've come out of the fear and you lean into the shadow work, that's when the big shifts can happen quite quickly. Yeah, I hope that sort of
Those are
helps.
beautiful examples. I mean, I think that gives a lot of people a lot of vision of what it would be like to work with you. And so I definitely want, and I will ask you to share that in a moment, but I also know you have a free gift. And so could
Yes,
you share what that is with the audience and how they can take
yes.
that?
Yeah. So one of the things, and this has come organically out of my own work, because I, again, very passionate and almost obsessive about my healing journey. And in COVID, actually, I did a good 6 months of clearings, and I was doing clearings every day. And so clearings, you know, you're taking out the garbage, you're releasing, you're letting go of, you're doing this, you're shoveling it all out. And I was doing it like obsessively through COVID for about 6 months. And then one day my guys just went, what are you putting in? Well, what do you mean? What am I putting on? I don't know. What am I putting in? I don't know. What does that mean? I'm like, what are you putting in? And I was like, I don't know. Put it in. What am I putting in? And so what I realized, because I got to a point where I was like, I could feel the shift. I could feel the difference. Like the frequency internally was so different. I was a completely different person, but I wasn't getting the shifts and changes in my external world. And so that was creating frustration because I was like, why? Where is the shifts? Where is the changes? I'm doing the work. What do you want from me? And this is when they were like, well, what are you putting in? I needed to change the alignment of my belief systems, and my inner and outer worlds needed to come together with more conscious effort and more focus. So that's when I started looking at the subconsciousness, because that was the piece that was still, it had been cleaned out, but it hadn't been realigned. And we can consciously change something, but if we don't change the narrative in our subconsciousness, it's just going to keep under, like it takes you out from the knees, like it will keep sabotaging the efforts until you change that. And just having the thought, it just wasn't enough. I was like, oh, well, I want more money. And then there was crickets. I was like, okay. So I needed to change my beliefs around money and my relationship to money, but it had to go as deep as the subconsciousness. So then I started doing a lot of research on that, and I started working and playing with subconscious meditations. And because I'd done so much work, I'd cleared it so much. Once I started doing that, I actually got some big shifts really quickly. And I was like, oh my God, this really works. But what I also realized is when you try to do subconscious work where the clearing hasn't been thorough enough, it can take longer. It's like trying to push a new framework in when there's already an existing framework that hasn't been completely removed. Whereas when you've removed it, the imprint just goes in so much faster. So again, there's no right or wrong in that. It's just I was fortunate enough that I'd done a lot of clearing. So these new imprints within my subconscious just sort of slid right in. So then I was like, okay, this just confirmed sort of what I was already thinking. And the pathway that I'd already sort of been on, it was I'd done so much clearing, I'd gone from sort of that full moon clearing phase into the new moon creation phase. And I previously used to get really knocked around by the full moons when I was in that clearing phase for many years. Whereas now I'm in a creation phase, I actually get knocked around by the new moons. So that has a more impactful frequency on me. But that's how I started to create my own. So I would, send off and get a script made for me specifically for what I wanted to work on. And I was like, why am I paying someone else to do this? I need to figure this out. I just knew it was part of my mission. It was part of my purpose. I needed to play in this space a bit more with more depth. So I started to learn how to create my own meditations and my own subliminal tracks and scripts and what worked and what didn't work. And the one that I'm offering for free here today, this particular meditation of the subliminal track is supporting us to do the shadow work. It's letting go of the fear around our hard feelings. It's letting go of the fear of feeling unsafe in our vulnerability so that we can actually just go in and do the work. Because that's the piece when I was saying before, people would rather go and get a psychic reading than actually go and learn the modality or do the healing, is because the lack of responsibility is there going, these are my hard feelings. I'll feel those hard feelings and then I'm going to let them go. But we don't want to look at it because there's fear around that. There's fear of our vulnerability. The sense of being unsafe in any capacity is what is stopping us from thriving. It is what's stopping us from exploring and getting messy in the play and enjoying the messiness. So that was the piece that I really just wanted to get out there as quickly as possible, was feeling safe in this world and feeling safe in our vulnerability. So the safe in our vulnerability is actually what opens us up to going, I'm okay. I have my hard feelings. I have my grief. I have my pain. I have my fear. The trauma is there. I'm going to let it all come forward. I'm going to feel it, and I'm okay to let it go now. And so we feel safe through that process instead of the resistance to it. So that is the meditation for today. For today's free gift is the feeling safe in vulnerability. And that's the self-acceptance. I accept myself wholly, including my shadow.
That's beautiful and such a beautiful gift to share. I mean, after all that we've talked about with the shadow work that you're giving, that you've learned how to create this, the music around it and being able to do all that and
Yeah,
provide that to everyone. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that.
absolutely.
So I mean, I don't know how anyone wouldn't want to work with you after this interview. So how could people find you and work with you? How could they contact?
Yes. Yeah, so I do private sessions. The website is www.sarahellingworth.com. And you can book private sessions that way. I do a lot of group work as well. So if the private session is out of the budget, there are group clearings that are available to purchase online. So they're only $30, but still amazing. I think there's a misconception around a private session versus like that's more, you get more out of that than you do a group clearing or a replay. The divinity, the power of divinity that shows up in the group clearings is phenomenal because it's the group energy and it has a bigger container. So you can still get precise, profound shifts in an individual session, but I really want to highlight the benefit of group work is amazing. And the other benefit of that and this is what I was doing when I was saying before I did 6 months of clearing, I would buy an online clearing and I just replay it every day. And so that's what now that's because I gained so much from that. That's what I wanted to offer. So I record the live clearings that I do, which there are live clearings that you can book in on the website, but if you miss the live or you can't do the live, you can get the replay. I'm currently just finishing up a chakra clearing series, but I think June or July, we have a chakra clearing series around self-sabotage. So that is each week we work on the self-sabotage and the frequencies and beliefs that's held in the crown. And then the next week we work on the self-sabotage that's held within the ajna and all the chakras through. So and the self-sabotage is, the self-hate, the self-neglect, the way we deny ourselves abundance or all the things where we're keeping ourselves separate from. And it runs so much. I actually just even recently did a really quick clearing on myself on the self-hate because I was like, no, I love myself. I've done so much work, but something just I went, no, I've got to do this. And I did it. And then all of a sudden I had this huge shift and I was like, wow, I had no idea how big that influence was from that small frequency, even though I'd already done so much. It was fascinating. So I was really grateful that I looked at it, like I listened to my intuition and I took the opportunity to clear. And I was like, oh my God, there's just so much. There's so much here for us to, and that is actually how the self-sabotage chakra series came about because I was like, I need to share this. It did so much for me very, very quickly in such a short thing. I was like, we're doing a whole series on it. So there's that. That's another way you can work with me. The Bloom Room is actually one of my favorites. So the Bloom Room is where you come together in a group and we bless each other. But what that's actually doing is shifting your frequency into a very high vibration for the whole hour. And we do that twice a week. So it elevates your energy. When we're talking about manifesting, this is elevating your energy into what you're wanting to manifest. And some of the things that have come out of that group has been amazing. Even for myself, I've gained so much. And it was a concept that I already knew was amazing, but doing it in this setting and the energy just continues to build and build and build. So if you're wanting support in raising a vibration or manifesting whatever it is you're trying to birth or create or bring through, the Bloom Room is stunning. So I highly recommend that as well. But one of my favorite things, or everything's a favorite, everything's amazing, but I'm really excited to be offering the Rising Intuitive. So that really encompasses everything we've been talking about today. It's learning the clearing techniques and how to do the healing work when we're focusing on that towards the psychic and intuitive abilities. So you are learning how to harness your own healing in order to open up your psychic and intuitive abilities and capabilities and what's already there, creating an alignment with what you're currently working with, playing with, what you know is showing up within yourself as, your intuitive aspects, but actually leaning into it and harnessing it and expanding it. So because I was previously teaching psychic development and that just kept coming through was the techniques that we need to actually open up. And it's, teaching people how to fish instead of just giving them the fish. These are tools that you will stay with you for years. And there are a lot of tools that I've developed through my own journey that I learned many years ago and I'm still learning and all of that gets incorporated. So it's a very big course. It's when I say very big, each class is jam-packed with content. So again, it will last you for a very long time and you get the replays of each class. So it's 8 weeks, 4-hour classes for 8 weeks. And that starts mid-June as well. There's 2 different time zones. So I'm super excited about that one.
Those all sound amazing. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the work that you're doing, what you're putting out in the world, and how you're helping people and being of service. That's really beautiful. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
that. And thank you all for being here today. And thank you, Sarah, for being here today. And I am so excited to have you here. And I am excited to see the rest of you on the next interview. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for having
everyone.
me. Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.